We now know what happened to Kathleen Salvio, but questions still surround the disappearance of Stacy Peterson, and her family wants answers. Joining us, Stacy's sister Cassandra Cales from Chicago, Stacy's aunt here with me in New York, Candace Aiken, along with reporter and author of the book Fatal Vows, The Tragic Wives of Sergeant Drew Peterson, Jo Hosey. All right, let me go to Cassandra Cales. Cassandra, you and I have spoken before. You have been very low-key during this trial of Kathleen. What do you think the verdict means of guilty to Drew Peterson in the Kathleen Salvio murder? What does it mean to your sister's case?
It means all the focus is going to be on my sister now, so.
Do you think that we'll ever find your sister?
Absolutely. Illinois State Police is still working hard, and so am I. We're all working together and doing searches, and there's no rush now because Drew is convicted and he's never going to be coming out.
And do you think that the fact that Drew is convicted will cause more people to come forward?
Hopefully. I urge them to come forward because they have nothing to worry about now. Drew can't harm them, and there's also a reward out there.
How are Stacy's children, Cassandra? Do you know how they're doing?
I'm not sure. Drew has denied me visitation, and so has Stephen.
And the sad part about it is your sister Stacy's two children lost their mother, obviously, and now their father's going to be in prison probably for the rest of his life. Where do you think these kids will end up going?
I'm not sure. I guess we just have to wait and see, and hopefully there's something that I can do to get some sort of visitation at least, so that way I can see them.
How old are they now, Cassandra?
7 and 9.
So hard, so hard. Jo Hosey, you wrote the book Fatal Vows. You sat through that trial every day. I saw you there. How does Stacy Peterson's case, the book that you wrote about, compare to the evidence you heard in Kathleen Salvio's case, which led to a conviction?
There's a lot more evidence in Stacy's case. There's direct
think so?
Oh, absolutely. There's direct evidence. You have direct evidence from Drew's stepbrother, Tom Morphy, who says he helped Drew carry a blue barrel out of the house, that he believes Stacy's body was inside. There's much less hearsay, much more direct evidence, physical evidence, cell phone triangulation showing where Drew was, where Tom Morphy was. They don't have a body, but that doesn't mean you can't have a prosecution. Well,
and we full well know now that we've got a prosecutor who's, you know, will go to the mat on this stuff. Candace Aiken, you are Stacy's aunt. Did you know Drew Peterson?
Yes.
What was your impression of the guy?
He was always nice to me, and I always just treated him nice because he was somebody that Stacy loved, and I wanted to honor her. And I mean, we never had any spats or anything.
But as time went on, did it seem that your niece was uncomfortable?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
When I was there in October, right before she disappeared, she was I could see that she was very uncomfortable. There was a lot of stress in the marriage, and she had a lot of anxiety.
Were there statements that Drew Peterson made that I think you were ready to testify to in the Kathleen Salvio murder case that the judge, of course, didn't allow you to testify to? What were those statements?
The statements were that when we were looking for, they had came to California and they were looking for houses, and just randomly he just said that he could kill and make it look like an accident. And then Stacy said, "Not with this chick, you don't."
Not with this chick, you don't. It's very interesting. Did you think that that was bizarre at the very least?
Yeah, that was pretty unusual. I mean, no one's ever said that, had any kind of conversation like that in front of me.
All right. And Cassandra, I'm going to go to you. If your sister's husband was going around saying to an aunt that he doesn't see that often, or to his wife's aunt, you know, I can kill and make it look like an accident, you were around Stacy. What was it like in the last days before she went missing?
Actually, it was quite stressful for her. She wasn't liking it at all, and she basically wanted my support and being there with her throughout the whole time through that weekend. So we had planned to see each other every day until Monday, when she had the appointment scheduled to see the attorney.
And so she was planning to divorce Drew Peterson?
Yes.
And did she ever tell you why?
Just his controllingness, you know. She couldn't have a life. She loved him dearly, and she tried proving it to him, but he just was jealous and obsessive and wouldn't let her have friends, and it just took a toll on her.
Did you hear the testimony, and I'm quite sure you did, of Harry Smith, the attorney that your sister called, when Harry Smith said that the night that Kathleen was murdered, that he came home and, you know, that he put a woman's clothes in the laundry? I mean, had she ever told you that? Cassandra?
Sorry, I lost you. Somebody was talking in my ear.
Oh, okay. All right. Cassandra, did your sister ever tell you that Drew told her that she found Drew the night of Kathleen's murder washing a woman's clothes?
She never told me that, no.
All right. All right. Well, good luck with the children of Stacy Peterson, and hopefully there will be justice for your sister as well. Joe Hosey, author of the book Fatal Vows. Candace Aiken, thank you so much for being with us this evening. And everyone, up next, the family of Kathleen Salvio speaks out, and my summation, a call to justice. The trial is over. Drew Peterson is behind bars. 2 women waited years for justice for Kathleen Salvio. Her sister Sue Doman is with me in New York, and her good friend Mary Parks is in Chicago. Ladies, thank you so much for being with us this evening.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Sue, what was it like? You were in the courtroom. You were right in front of me, actually. When you heard that verdict, guilty, how did you react?
I gasped. I was in shock. It was so unreal. It still is. I'm still in shock.
You waited a long time.
Very long time, very long time.
Did you ever think the day would come?
Sometimes I didn't think it would come. It just seemed like it would drag on forever, especially with all the delays that were going on with the court, with the hearsay and everything I didn't know.
When you testified, tell us if you made contact with Drew Peterson. Did you make eye contact with him when you were talking about what he said?
Yes. And he just stared right back at me. And I felt like he wanted to get control of me. But I just kept looking right back at him.
And of course, your testimony, I could, according to your sister, that he could kill her and make it look like an accident?
Yes.
All right. And what was her behavior? Was she afraid?
She was afraid, yes. Very much afraid.
Mary Parks, you studied nursing with Kathleen. Do you know what kind of nurse Kathleen wanted to be?
She wanted to be a registered nurse, just in general practice, so that she could take care of her sons.
And she was a woman at that point who was separated, if not divorced, and she was on her own at that point, yes?
Yes, she was. She had gone through the first part of the bifurcated divorce before she passed away, too, so.
You talked about the fact that Kathleen told you that Drew Peterson broke into her home one night or suddenly appeared in black SWAT uniform saying, "Why don't you just die?" Did she show you something after she said that?
She showed me the marks on her neck where he had grabbed her and pinned her back. And she thought at that time that she was going to die right then and there.
She was your friend. Was she terrified? Did she think that she had any way to get out of it?
She was terrified. She was terrorized. And she didn't think that she could get out of it. She really didn't feel like she had anywhere she could turn, and she just had to try and hang on until the divorce was final.
So,
but she really knew.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
She knew that he was. She knew that he was going to kill her.
She did. She predicted that he would.
Yes, she did.
Oh. Sue, what about the children? What about Kathleen's sons? Have you seen them? Have you talked to them?
No, I haven't. When everything was coming down to the final end, I asked to have a visitation right with them. Now, this was before Tommy was 18, so he wouldn't have been of age to make a decision. I went through my attorney through Joel Brodsky, asking him if I could meet him at a certain place. We can talk and to go out or anything, and they can, you know, someone could stay with me.
And was Joel Brodsky trying to help facilitate the meeting between you and Drew's kids?
Joe Brodsky came back with a letter to my attorney saying, no, the kids did not want to see me.
Wow.
They want nothing to do with me.
You know what the sad part of this is? We've heard it from regarding both women's children, that Drew Peterson is keeping them away from their mothers' families. Very sad. All right, I want to thank you, Mary Parks, for being with us. And Sue, although we're sad for you, we are also so satisfied that this day has come. Thank you both for being with us this evening. All right, my thoughts. No one wants to believe that predators roam freely in our midst, or that brutal acts are committed in the sanctity of a marriage that was formed in love. But every day, women die quietly in the civil war that rages in homes across this country. They didn't do anything, they didn't ask for it. And they're not angry, possessed, or bonkers, the words used to describe Kathleen Salvio. They die because an abuser, and not God, has decided that they should. They die because we don't listen. And because we don't listen, we give them a death sentence. It doesn't have to be this way. These women have predicted their death. They've asked for our help. They've even made plans for the care of their children. And although we can't take away their pain or turn back time to undo the damage, we can seek justice for the women who come after. The system expects us all to be detached and dispassionate. Why? We simply aren't angry enough. I've said it before. We call it the criminal justice system. It should be the victim's justice system. Justice is not something we deliver to the criminal. It should be something we do for the victim. Kathleen died for no reason. And although it's too late for Kathleen and Stacy, they stand as silent witnesses, like so many other bloodied and battered women before them, waiting to see if we have the will and the courage to be angry enough to assure that their suffering was not in vain. You toss a stone in a pond, and there are ever-widening ripples. And murder, like a stone tossed in a pond, should create ever-widening consequences. Although Drew Peterson's family will be able to visit him in prison, Kathleen Salvio's family is relegated on Mother's Day and holidays to go to her grave. This has been my fight and my passion for more than 30 years as a prosecutor, a judge, and a district attorney. I want the system to hear these women and to hold these criminals accountable. There are many of them who are talking to us now. There are many women who predicted their deaths. Kathleen and Stacy silently wait to see if we are willing to listen.
Hi, I'm Joe